alive.
Hey, Paul, welcome back to our Halloween special that you've been joining us for the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. Welcome.
10 years. 10
It's
years.
been 10 years.
10
Oh my
years.
gosh, it's nuts.
Oh my, yes. Thank you very much for inviting me back. It's always a great pleasure to be here and give you an update of what my job status currently is. So it's
What is
pretty
your
much
job status?
I got a new job working for a company called R&R Shipping.
Oh, cool.
And they have a really cool project that I kind of took over. I guess I'll start telling you a little bit cool thing about that is they had two projects going on. One is the Selenium project. The other one was a playwright project. And they were trying to get everything kind of automated. They have about 100 test cases. And my predecessor left, and they said, we need someone to take over and kind of do this. Are you up for it? And I sat there and said, yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I know playwright. Sorry, I know WebDriver in TypeScript, and I had all these cool ideas in my book. And basically have a 2-year project that's been in flight. And my predecessor is long gone. I had a few minutes to talk with him, just saw him run our test cases. His test cases, just I want to verify, can I log in? That's all I need to know. The other 99, I don't care. I'll figure it out. And that's basically been my last 4 or 5 months working with them to keep their automation script working and running, and adding a whole bunch of new enhancements into the playwright framework.
Awesome. I'm already off script, so I'm just curious to know, when you inherit a project like that, how do you handle it? Because I'm sure a lot of people start new companies and they have an existing framework and they just get thrown into it and they have no idea where to start. Do you have like a process you follow?
Yes, if I can, I try to get as much time as I can with my predecessor. I really had just a couple hours with this guy because it was on Friday, and the company was very nice. They were able to get us overlapped a little bit, so I could talk to them and just see, where is it located, what are you working on, stuff like that. The best thing, of course, I always recommend, one of my first projects, I gave 3 weeks notice and said, hey, bring on whoever you want to take on, so we have enough time, because I had a 4-year project when I first started back in 2001. Second thing I go for is during a session like that, I want to see how stale are the test cases. Can something run and get to a pass? And that's really all I look for to start off with. I can move on from there. Third thing I look for is how many hard-coded wait statements are throughout the entire framework. And that's
Is that still a
pretty
thing?
good
Because
thing.
that's a horror.
Yeah. It is a horror. It is awful. But it tells me, like, how much challenge were they having with page synchronization, and we'll talk a little bit about that during this session over here. Some of the things I try and get into. I will say something that reminds me of something you just recently had last month. You had this event in my town, out in you said it was in Chicago. It was in Schaumburg, which is literally where I grew up. It was right down the street. So it was really great to see you in live person. If anyone gets a chance, Joe's got these sessions. I think you're doing more where they're in live sessions in different cities, if I understand that correctly.
Yep.
If not,
Test Guild IRL in real life coming to a place near you.
Yeah, and you give me some table space, and I get to show off a little bit of stuff. And some of the stuff you're going to see today is going to be some of the things that I was trying to, in some cases, actually succeed in showing off. The point of that was you had a great guest over there. You had Jason Huggins. And if you haven't seen it, the session just before this one, you should go see the Joe's interaction with Jason Huggins. He's talking about Vibium, which is a brand new thing that he's getting into, which is really, really awesome. So you were saying the things that I look for. Yeah, I said the wait statements, and then try to understand what are the current challenges that they have. My first thing is always how much detail am I getting out of the reporting when I'm going? And a lot of people are like, why are you doing all this console log stuff? And I'm like, because I need to know what's going on. One of the first things I did was I created a custom console log. So I did that. But I've done this every time for the last 25 years. I've created a custom version of console log. But it was a little bit different this time because, as you may have known, I got out of coding for about 3 years. I worked with a tool that was all plain English, and while I was actually, just a side note, while I was out of work for the month of April, I looked at 24 other tools that are all plain English stuff. So if anyone ever wants to ask me
Where's
about
that listed, Paul? Do you have that listed on a website? All the tools and the results?
I am putting together candy mapper challenges with most of these companies, as long as they say they're okay with it. I can tell you some of the companies I looked at. Of course, Zap Test, Alex, his tool. We worked with that over there. Wopie, I just got a chance to look at Harness. It was kind of cool. Bug, which nobody's ever heard of, but they are doing some interesting things. They just need some version control going on over there. Who else have I talked to? There's a product called Gina from Testing On, or Noesis. I'm not sure which company it is, but they're kind of put together. Functionize, definitely been looking at those, playing around with them. And that was one of the things, is that when I got hired on, they said, "Oh, by the way, we heard about this, this company called Test Rigger. We know you know a lot about it." And I said, "Yeah, I do. And I also know where the skeletons are hidden in the closet." I was hoping you get a little ghost come out and
We'll edit that
do
in.
that. Thank you. So I know where all the skeletons are hidden in the closet on that one. And I said, let me take an opportunity to go look at other tools and see exactly what's out there. And they are and I said, go for it. Go take a look at anything. So I have been looking at a whole bunch of these different companies out there and just looking for three things that kind of, one, how easy is it to work with the tool? Two, how much of functionality that I'm looking for. I mentioned version control just a moment ago. Some have it, some don't. And what's the speed? I know you'll ask me at the end, kind of like tips and tricks. One of the things I'm seeing with AI, which is the major talk of this today, what I'll talk about, is that everyone's talking about, hey, you need AI, and it's all AI. It's all got to be, everything's got to be AI in there. And I do know Ben Fellows was talking about this, saying, yeah, it's interesting, but if you go overboard on it, it can become a problem. Exactly what I'm seeing as well. You need to understand, use AI like salt in a soup. So you have a little bit of AI, you put a little salt in a soup as the AI. That's fine. If you put the entire container of salt into the automation framework, it's probably going to bog it down to the point that it's like, well, that's great. We got 100 test cases, but it takes 2 days to execute, because the AI is constantly taking all this time to go and try and find stuff. And then at that point, you also might end up with the problem of tokens. I'm sure you've heard of tokens. You get basically 300 free tokens for your Copilot inside of the tool that you're usually using. I'm using Copilot inside of Visual Studio Code, I should say. And one of the first things I learned 3 months ago was that I burned through all 300 tokens in about 2 weeks, and I still had another 2 weeks to go. And I had to say I was a little addicted to the tokens, that I was like, what do I got to do to get more tokens? I actually made friends at Microsoft with a guy, and I said,
It's like Halloween candy. You have
yes,
to go and keep getting more and more.
Yes. Just like the Candy Wrapper website is. It tells you where all the candy is. It hasn't worked in 7 years, but okay. Yeah, true. And you got to figure out where to get more. And that was the biggest challenge for me. And in fact, it remains the biggest challenge, trying to set up how, I don't care if I pay for something out of pocket just to learn how to use it. I always invest in myself. That's another thing I tell you. Just invest in yourself. Don't wait for a company to pay for your training and stuff. Go invest in yourself. But I couldn't figure out how in the world to get that done. So I had to go take a side trip around, go find somebody. It's like, I'm not sure how to do it either, but I reset your tokens. I'm like, okay, thank you. They're really nice guys. So, but I've gotten a little bit more judicious as to using the tokens. Now, where did I go with this? I went off a little bit off the track. I was just trying to make the point is that AI everything isn't really a great solution. You want to have it just use a little bit. And I'm gonna say I have a little demo of some stuff.
Before you get into it, Paul,
okay,
I heard this year for Halloween you're going as Optimus Prime. So that's your segue.
Yes, I am. So this year I came up with the name Optimus Prime for the automation framework because we work in the trucking industry. There's a whole bunch of different trucks. And if I can get this to do what I want, I'm going to show this to you. first thing I wanted to kind of show off is that I wanted to have a uh, something that basically says how many test cases am I running, how many test users am I running, and also have the Optimus Prime logo up there. Uh, and occasionally it will skip the logo, and I don't know why. And then today it's decided to skip the logo. Well, we'll come back to that. Essentially, it's going through my reporter over here. You can see it's actually interacting with the elements on the screen as it goes through, and it's actually reporting out what's doing. Now, everything it's putting out here, it's actually saying what tests it's running and a lot of information about what's doing. It's basically saying, hey, I'm putting in this field, but the field is not yet visible. So there's a lot of extra stuff that I like to put in there. And this is basically custom clicks, custom fill, and custom assertions that I put in there. And I'm always just putting in as much information as I can and telling exactly which function was it actually executing as it did this. So it basically puts out and says, hey, it successfully filled this. Now, one of the things that we do here is I'm doing a console log over here, but this is updating in green. I also have the text written in blue. That's not a part of Playwright. It'll just put it out in just a standard kind of gray on black. But what I wanted to do was, hey, ask it to say, create a custom AI, custom console log. So log that will colorize the error text in red. And there were many things that I put in there, but I'm essentially using the console logo here. I've got 3 different types of LLMs I can work with. I generally like Claude Sonnet. It's fast and it's smart. Gemini Pro is slower, but it does bigger projects, and GPT is also pretty good at doing big stuff.
Paul,
Yes.
why not use auto?
That's a brand new feature that I put in there. The problem I'm not sure is I don't know which one it actually uses when I switch to auto.
Does it recommend it? Does it try to find the best one for the use case, or do
yes,
you know?
that's the theory behind it. That it'll grab whatever I typed in there. It'll grab the one that's useful. But I prefer to know exactly which one because I've had experience working with all 3.
And you like
actually,
Claude?
all 4. I like Claude the best.
Okay.
GPT and Gemini are good for like if I have something really big, I need to grab this function, extract it, and put it into the fixtures.
Yep.
Then that's more of a big project, and GPT and Gemini are better at doing that.
Gotcha.
But they're slower. So it's sitting over here actually chugging through all of my things. And one of the other things you'll see that I found in my experience the last 4 months doing agentic, or let's call it vibe coding. I think there was a better term for that. I think it was augmented coding is what Ben called it, which I like that term better. It does tend to apologize because it's having issues or errors. I don't see that it's actually put anything in there, but it's trying to figure it out and put it together. I'm going to cancel this. I just want to kind of show that there are different ways you can do this. Mostly, a lot of people use Ask. And at your conference, you actually had a quote on one of your screens. I recommended that when you do something like this, you're adding a new feature, ask it to do, use the Ask mode first. And then whatever it says, review it and see, does this look good? Is it okay? And if it's okay, then go and switch over to agent mode and tell it, no, great, go implement this stuff.
I didn't know that was an option. Why don't I see it?
And I've never used edit.
So there it is. Ask plan. Cool.
Yep. Also, another thing is I mentioned those tokens. You can see where your tokens are. This big blue line here is telling me I've got about 50% of the tokens ready. And
how'd you get there, Paul? So I'm trying to follow along on my machine.
Not a problem. There's the little Copilot head on the lower right-hand corner out there. You just hover over it, and they'll come up and it'll tell you what your premium requests are.
Cool.
And that's telling you how many of your 300 tokens are. And you can see this is going to reset either today or tomorrow, right on Halloween. So it's if it gets out to the entire line, like I said, the first month I had used the entire thing. And then what happened was, this was interesting, is that it automatically just switched over to GPT 4.0. Now, To be fair, I can describe these guys. These guys here are like a combination of Sherlock Holmes and Albert Einstein, and they are quick and fast, and they really know stuff better than I do. Then you got ChatGPT, which is pretty much like Albert Einstein, except he's a little drunk and needs to take a little sleep on the bar for a little while. And that's what you get for zero tokens being used out there, I suppose. So I always excited to look at this. By the way, on your side, I bet you see more than just 3 when you're looking at that. Do you get like about 5 or 7 of those? Just kind of curious if you see that.
Oh yeah,
And
I see 4.5 sonnets, 4 sonnet, GPT-5 Cheetah.
Yep,
I don't even know what Cheetah is. Code Supernova.
yeah, those are all the new LLMs. And I'm going to tell you honestly, I don't know why I don't see those on my side. I can tell you how you can see them. I'm logged in under my
I do
company
have the
account.
$200 plan. I don't know if that matters.
That might be it. But it seems to me if I log out and log in under another account, this resets and then it will show me all of the different agents that I've got available.
And I use auto because I'm lazy, but I like how you actually know each model and what you do the thinking of which one's the best for what you need to do.
I started off with Claude and then I use Gemini and GPT. And like I said, sometimes these guys fall asleep doing stuff and I have to, hey, wake up, and they'll go, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot I was doing something for you. One of the other downsides I found with this was you'll notice that in my output, let me go back to my output over here. Let's see, here's some output.
Change it to red, right? Is that the
yeah, it'll put in I've already rewrote it. I just wanted to do like a demo of what I did over here. I do have a lot more stuff in there with colors, but it's also putting in emoji things. Nice. Like say this failed and it's a check. But the problem I had is when I initially put that in there, I said, hey, listen, I've got a custom function that will automatically put these emojis in here. And the AI went, oh, you want emojis everywhere that you use that statement. I'm like, no, it's already doing it. You don't need to add more. And it's kind of, that's one downside I don't like. It's kind of polluted my code with emojis. They're all over the place out there. So that's my custom log, a custom logger. I'll even go and
one thing, Paul. Yes, so you've been doing this for years. You mentioned you create a custom logger everywhere. How helpful was AI to do this?
Oh God, it made it so fast.
Really?
Okay. Just it gives me. I guess the great thing is that I can sit there and say I wanted to do this, I want to do that. Can you change it to do this, and it will go through that and add the features, and I can now just kind of imagine, what else do I need this to do, and the AI will just kind of create it and implement it in there. I would say now, you and I years ago worked with QTP UFT.
Yep.
And one of the things I had to be careful about that is that if I was sending information out to the the console log, the good thing was the console log was infinite. It never got to the end of anything. The downside was if the more you sent to it, the more it slowed down the automation framework. And because it was working in BASIC, it was already kind of slow to start off with. So I had to be careful about how much I actually sent to this. Playwright is so fast with that information. It's not much that I have to be all that concerned about. Let me see what else. So
breakpoints.
Yes, custom breakpoints. So this came out of another issue. So here's all my test cases over here. My issue is that some of these are using the exact same data record, and sometimes they fight with each other to decide which one they want to run. So I'm going to go and execute this, and let's see. You might see something kind of cool. I'm running 6 tests with 6 workers. By the way, I can run up to 9. I was getting up to about 12 before my system kind of went.
How'd you do that? Is that a config file?
Oh, yes. That's, in fact, I asked it over there. I can go and say it's in the Playwright config. So if I'm looking for, oh boy, I started everything over there. We'll get back to that in a second over here. This you can see is actually running all the browsers at the same time and chugging away. This but it's actually moving them all over to different areas, right? So we'll get to that in a second. So this was basically something I said, hey, I don't want these all to run at the same time. I want the ability to lock the system, because if I have um, if I have a problem where multiple test cases are running and they're bumping into each other, I know there's a term that will come to my head and everybody's thinking it. Um, that's a collision issue. I want some of my test cases to run in serial. And it said, the AI said, well, what if I just put up this little block over here and I'll write a file that says this test case is locked. And currently we're running this test case and it is waiting for this one to complete. And then it'll just sit there and spin. And I went, that's kind of cool. I didn't have to write anything for it. So I can take some of my test cases and tell them to run in serial, even though it's running the test cases in parallel.
AI recommended you to do it this way? Well,
no, I came up with that idea.
Okay, all right.
I asked how to implement that.
Gotcha.
And one of the point of that is that you can run either in run the whole suite over here, or you can run in debug mode. But debug by default runs everything in serial, and it's hard to debug something that is giving you a collision issue if you're running them in serial, because it doesn't happen because they're not running in parallel. So that's one of the things I injected in there to have these test cases to sit around and wait for the previous one to complete, even though it's running in parallel. And that was just one I just kind of asked for it to do. And I'm like, oh, that's a cool feature. Now, all of this is actually doing one of the trickiest things. I was talking to someone over at your conference, a guy I worked with before, and he said the reason that Playwright is beating Selenium is because the ability to find elements is so much easier, and the wait, the smart wait for pages to be ready is so much better. And I said, that's cool, but that's not the reason I went to it. I always have to write a custom function that will wait for the page to be ready. And so one of the things that these test cases had to do was to pick up on a toast message. You ever had an issue where you're looking for a toast message, and how long are they up there for?
Yep, right.
About
5
3
seconds.
to 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Right. And my problem is that my custom wait behind the scenes would sit there and identify that toast message as, oh, toast message came out, so it's changed, so I'm going to wait a little bit longer until the toast message essentially went away. And then the next step would be verify a toast message appeared, which is, I've missed the whole thing. So inside of my wait for page, we'll go over here, wait for page. And again, this was something I'm like, hey, I need to write this. I've written it before in other languages. Let's go to the definition over here. Come on. Do this, ready for page load. Let's see if I could jump to the definition. There it is. And it's just not showing a bunch of stuff. The first thing I'm usually looking for is to see, well, one thing, did the browser actually close, and just exit out. And I'm looking for to see if this multi-alert, which is the name that I'm using to identify a toast message, is there. And it immediately exits out and says, forget it, I'm out. The next step is probably looking for that toast message. After that, essentially the one trick that I've got, and again, this is in my book, is I'm counting up how many elements are on the page. And it'll look for the page, and then it does my one and only hard-coded wait, which is 333 milliseconds. And then it counts it again, and it counts it again. If it gets the same number 3 times, it says, you know what, 3/4 of a second, the page hasn't updated, it's probably ready to go. If the numbers change, it just resets and starts going again. So it's a dynamic wait looking for the page to complete.
Why 333? To avoid 666?
No, it's more, it's 3... It's actually, I want to check it 3 times per second, because
okay.
Perceptively, when you're showing a demo, if you see a page sit up there for 1 second, it seems slow. If it's up there for 3/4 of a second, perceptively people say, wow, this is fast. So I go and try to, if it decides page is built after 3/4 of a second, hey, it's fast. If it's been sitting there for a while, but you see something spinning, it's it's dynamically weighting to the point that you don't have to put hard coded weights in there. And what I do is I take this wait for page load and I stick it into my click. So every time I do a click, I wait for the page load. Every time I call that custom click. Last thing I'll mention on this, guys, at the very end, I also take a look at how many elements are actually on the page. And if the page, uh, if the elements are less than, let's say, 70, it means I've got a blank page. Something went wrong. And usually it says cycle through again and go hit a refresh the browser and see if you get more than these elements, which eliminates even more maintenance or flaky tests as you go by. There's the object count looking for basically 21 over there. If it's less than 21, the page was blank and something went horribly wrong, and just go reload it over there. For the rest of this, I want to switch over to a pre-recorded video because that's a little bit easier to kind of jump through and get to. So give me one moment. There's my Camtasia. I'm going to go and reattach and detach my video so we can see it looks essentially the same. And I'm going to go to full screen. We'll go to full screen over here. And all right. So essentially, we're already showing off that we've got this lock where it'll lock a page over here. There's a few other things that we can do, and is over here, I'm looking for spinners, and I've got this code that goes and says, look for something that says circular. And if you see circular, that means there's a spinner. This is it's essentially highlighting, saying, hey, why is this thing waiting? Because there's a spinner on the page, and I want to visually see it. Obviously, I don't do that when I'm running headless. It doesn't matter, but it does sit there and kind of give a visual identification that things are going well. What else do I have? Did I have it in here? I think this is also the, let's see. Yeah, there's another spinner. This one's interesting. When I did the recording here, I just kept getting browsers on top of it. But one of the biggest things that I found that I think my automation framework is really benefiting my company is finding that when the deletions are taking too long, the deletion response should be about 3 seconds, should come back and say, hey, everything's good. But what I'm finding is that some deletions are taking like up to 30, 60 seconds. And that's more of an addressing a good metric was an SLA, service level agreement. You should have response within 5 seconds. And if not, it should be reporting out saying, hey, this took like about 7-10 seconds to go. And I also try to, some of my test cases actually expect that there may be a 2-minute wait, and I can customize them and say, okay, you guys wait around 2 minutes. I know the timeout's 30 seconds, but you want to, on these cases, you want to wait around 2 minutes because we know that there's a wait time on that. And I think that's really helping on my ROI, which we're saying, okay, these are some things that we're kind of identifying as we go along here. Let me see what my next one is. There was an example right there of a blank page. It just didn't build anything. It would sit there and detect it, say, hey, there's only 7 objects on here. Let's recycle that. And then this next one coming up is features over here. I was mentioning that page, wait for page sync. Inside of that, it has one extra thing, which is it's looking for the word error to appear on the screen. And if it ever appears, it goes and highlights that and says, hey, there's a problem. By the way, this is kind of a toast message. So the check for the word error comes out first and says, I'm going to go and highlight this. And it's essentially highlighting, it's saying, I'm looking for, I was checking for the word error. It said, I found the word error highlighted in green, but it's also giving you this kind of little orange, red thing saying, hey, this is a problem. We might want to be able to get a hold of this and fix it. And this is one of the major things I've got with AI that, again, all of these, I've been vibe coding quite a bit and just trying to get this functionality into my framework and show that, I can do a good a good ROI for the company, and also do other things. This one over here, I'm highlighting it. We're expecting to see that the name cannot expect all these errors. We need to do an edit on this. I'm sorry. In the recording, there's a message that's coming up from here. So let me see if I can. Let's do this. Let's try again. In this example, I'm essentially going through and checking to see if there is a invalid character that is being added in here. And do we get a message that says the first name cannot contain special characters? And this is one of them. Again, I asked the AI, can you please write me a highlight function that will be up there for a quarter second or 333 milliseconds, and just have it up there enough that I can visually see it, but not slow down the entire automation of the framework. That is a lot of the cool stuff I've been doing. As I said, I've got wrappers. I always do wrappers for everything. I never use the implicit click or fill or anything like that. Those implicit ones are only listed once, and that's in my custom click, my custom fill. And all sorts of extra stuff is built into those wrappers as I chug along.
What about auto IT? I don't even know what you call it. What do you call it,
Yes,
Paul?
now we come to something that's come back alive. All right. So at the very beginning of the video over here, I showed you that I was essentially running all these browsers, but the browsers are jumping all over the screen. So it gives a much better demo instead of them all laying on top of each other. Now, how I do that, the problem is that Playwright, and almost, I don't know of any other tool that can do it, does not have the ability to move browsers to a different location. But for all my life, all my career, 25 years, I've been using this other tool out here, which is AutoIt, and that's AutoIt script over here. I'll go, and I basically said, can you write a little script that will look for a browser and tell me what, let's see, I want move browser 2.0. This is essentially it over here. It'll load it up in a second. Seriously, you're going to load it up. There it goes. It took a while. And the great thing about AutoIt, it used to be used by network administrators who wanted to add a whole bunch of brand new employees, but didn't want to go through the whole manual process. They could automate it with AutoIt. And two things have happened in the last, I guess, 6 months or to 2 years. One, this code is all written by AI. I just went and asked the code over. I went and asked over here and said, hey, can you write something in AutoIt script to move browsers left and right, as long as you see some sort of text on it, like sign into your account. And that's how it identifies that there is a brand new browser. Make sure that it loops and keep sitting in the background. And it is actually sitting there. I think we may have to edit. We have to edit that. No, that's okay. I'm sorry. This is what it is. This is the window monitor that's sitting here waiting for some browser called sign into your account to be up here. And when this is running, it sits there and randomly moves browsers all around. And like I said, it's
like a poltergeist.
Yes.
Poltergeist on your machine.
It's a poltergeist. And the great thing about it is that the last update that it had was in 2020. And I figure it's dead.
Yeah.
Wonderful tool. And just last month, they had an announcement saying there's been a whole new update for AutoIt script. And so the project itself is still alive. The people, the developers behind it, I guess they took a 4 or 5 year break. And it's back, and I can understand why, because I don't have to sit there and try and write all this stuff myself and figure it out. You can just have the AI do it. I did this thing in about 5 minutes, and it got it right pretty much on the first shot. I had to do 1 or 2 extra things to get it to do exactly what I wanted. But there's so many other things you could do with this, because one thing I'm thinking about is the console log. What if the console log didn't go out here? What if I opened up a pipeline to a window that has multiple windows open for each one of my test cases, and then direct those messages to those? And that way I don't have to use any of the internal stuff on my browser my IDE over here to output that information.
But how hard is it to deploy? Say you ran this on another machine. When you need,
Oh, not at all, not hard at all. So to test it, you would click on go and it'll run it directly inside this environment. But if you go and select build over here, it's saying I already have one over there. You go to build and it'll create an executable out of this code that looks very similar to basic. And now I've got an executable that's running. This one that I showed you over here, this is an exe. I take this exe and I throw it into my project over here. And now it's available to anyone who checks out the project. They can run that. Heck, you could probably go to the point that it's goes and launches, has the framework go and launch it first and say, okay, put it up there if we're running headed. That's cool. If it's headless, who cares? And nobody cares if it's moving place to place. Last thing I wanted to mention as we get to the end over here, I heard this also from Ben again. It's like, what's some of the cool things that you can do in automation over here with agentic coding? And the coolest thing is, let's say I have a brand new project. You can ask agentic AI, you can ask this to, create a new Selenium project. So I'll be switching the framework. I'm not sure if, just project. And if I do that and I'm in agent mode, I've got this version control, so it doesn't matter what I do. I can always undo it.
So that's a tip. Always have version control.
Always use the version control. Oh, in fact, yes, I'm sorry. There was something I wanted to mention. I've got my version control over here. This is what I use. I like a GUI thing for my version control. So this is from this GitHub desktop. And one of the things I try to do is that when I've got something that is working really well, I will actually document how many test cases passed and how long did it take to get that done.
Oh,
And that will tell me, this was a good running spot. And then later on, you can see, hey, there were 51 passing. Hey, now there's 61 passing, and it's doing it in 22 minutes. And as I keep going on, you can see 71 passed in 15 minutes. I know that those points are good running framework versions of the application. So I think it is asking me, it's asking me to open an empty folder to continue. I'll hit allow, and it just did it. It just went over.
You're doing this in an existing project and knows enough to start a new one?
Yep.
Cool.
I probably should I just do a brand new one, just go over to the file and say new.
Right.
But just for time.
Yeah.
It does this, and then, of course, the other thing it'll do, I'll cancel all of this over here. The other thing it'll do is it'll go to your console, and it will go and do all the executions that you need automatically to set everything up. And if I go back,
is this porting this over to Selenium then from Playwright?
It could.
It's not doing that. It could. That's crazy.
It could do that. You could just say, hey, take this and convert the language from JavaScript to Java or to Python. In fact, that's one of my new plans, is to have a new versions of my book out there, but do them in Cypress, Selenium,
nice.
Whatever the next new thing is, because not everybody's working on WebDriver IO. It's a wonderful tool, and it's even getting better. Every tool is getting better because of this.
Yep.
And the last, that's basically, I think everything I'm going to show off for you today, because I think we've taken up all the time, if not more.
Thank you, Paul, again for all your tricks and treats in this demo. Really appreciate it. All right, Paul, before we go, is there one thing you like someone to take away from right now that they can implement right away to help them with their automation testing efforts? And what's the best way to find or contact you?
Absolutely. The best thing you can do, Joe, is use AI to document your code. That's the one thing, is I didn't know what this guy was doing. And I basically said, can you go through this code and document it like I'm a 12-year-old, and use it to add your headers, your footers, and all sorts of stuff like that. The ways that you can find me, I'm all over the place. Look on any social media site, look for the Dark Arts Wizard. You'll find him there. I am on X. I am on LinkedIn. I am on YouTube. You can go to YouTube/Paul Grossman, the Dark Arts Wizard. You can see all sorts of videos of everything that I do and show off. You can email me at thedarkartswizard@gmail.com. Don't forget to add the. If you just say Dark Arts Wizard, it's going to somebody else. I don't know who that guy is. Where else can you find me? Let's see. And I have my testing websites, which is candymapper.com, which is backed by GoDaddy. You can go and practice your skills as an automation engineer against a GoDaddy-based website. And if you go to candymapper.net, you'll find a version that is hosted by Wix. And then you can even see if your test case runs on one and then switch the entire underlying environment, see if it runs on the second one. They're essentially identical.
Awesome. And you get all these links to these tricks and treats down below. Thanks again for your automation awesomeness. The links to everything of value we covered in this episode, head on over to testguild.com/A564. And if the show has helped you in any way, why not rate it and review it in iTunes? Reviews really help in the rankings of the show, and I read each and every one of them. So that's it for this episode of the Test Guild Automation Podcast. I'm Joe, and my mission is to help you succeed with creating end-to-end, full-stack automation awesomeness. As always, test everything and keep the good. Cheers. Hey, thank you for tuning in. It's incredible to connect with close to 400,000 followers across all our platforms and over 40,000 email subscribers who are at the forefront of automation, testing, and DevOps. If you haven't yet, join our vibrant community at testguild.com, where you become part of our elite circle driving innovation in software testing and automation. And if you're a tool provider or have a service looking to empower our guild with solutions that elevate skills and tackle real-world challenges, we're excited to collaborate. Visit testguild.info to explore how we can create transformative experiences together. Let's push the boundaries of what we can achieve.
Oh, the Test Guild Automation Testing Podcast. With lutes and lyres, the bards began their song. A tune of knowledge, a melody of code. Through the air it spread like wildfire through the land, guiding testers, showing the secrets to behold.